Welcome to Ish I Saw on TikTok. In this series, we look at TikToks and some stitched responses where something very prevalent in dating today is discussed. Then finally, I'll provide my commentary at the end of just me being myself, unfiltered and unadulterated. Hi, I'm Janelle, the relationship coach behind The Successful Invisible. I work with successful, savvy, wonderful, professional black women, single professional black women who are 35 plus and are seeking just better dating options and have no clue where to start. Check out my links below if you're interested in working with me one-on-one or in a group coach setting. The goal of exploring some of these TikToks is to spark discussion and help you to develop more awareness, including self-awareness, in some of the patterns you've either engaged in or allow in your own dating life. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe.
Here are some red flags on the first date. Number one, he's too touchy. He should not be forcing himself on you. If he is, then you know exactly what that first date is about. Two, he's rude to all the waitresses and waiters. If he can't respect a waiter or a waitress, then how do you think he's going to treat you? He should always have good table manners. Number three, if he's always on his phone and he's on the first date with you, girl, he has a girlfriend or a wife. A single man who's actively looking for someone he wants to date would not be on their phone. He would want to give you his undivided attention. If you haven't already, read the ebook, The 7 Rules of Dating a Rich Man.
These are red flags in men that you should look for on like your first 1 or 2 dates. A, like he is super fast on getting physical with you. Based on my experience and like stories from my guy friends, when a guy truly has feelings for you, he's so careful of his moves because he doesn't want to like do something and mess this like whole thing that he has like built up. So he's very careful and intentional of like what he does physically with you. But if he just wants to sleep with you on the first date, I mean, if you're fine with it, like I can't say anything, but like just be careful. If they seem cocky or full of themselves, I guess this one also applies to girls too, like both men and women. I hate it when they're so arrogant and they think they're better than everybody else. And if you get that from their vibe, like when you talk to them, it's just not it. Just run. Like, no, you don't need them in your life. Being confident is good, but you just have to be confident without like the attitude.
These are 3 things that I will never tolerate on a first date. And everyone can have their own opinions, okay? But this is how I actually weed out people that I know will not meet my standards. Or people that I know will not treat me the way I expect to be treated, okay? So let's get into it. The first thing I will not tolerate is when someone touches my physical body during a first date. I feel to a certain extent, a man should respect your body enough to not touch you the first time you meet. Like your body should be some sort of temple to them. It should be a big deal to them to touch. Even if it's just your leg, even if it's just your hand on the first date, that should be kept for later on, all right? Because this is not something that's just given out to you. The second thing I will not tolerate is having to make the plan. If I'm going to be embodying my feminine energy, I just need to be led by someone that is able to lead me. If I need to pick the restaurant, if I need to make the reservations, it's already a no for me because I know I will not be able to sit in my feminine with this person. And third, this one's really important, I will not tolerate someone that talks about sex on the first date. Even if it's a joke, even if it's like a little here and there, it is just an absolute no for me. It is very disrespectful, honestly, and it really shows you what this person is actually thinking of during the date. So let me know your thoughts. This is honestly just my 3 things. I have a lot more too, so if you want to hear more, let me know. But honestly, this is the bare minimum.
Here's some red flags that you'll get early on when you're dealing with a toxic person. My older kids are taking me out for Mother's Day, and look at this adorable outfit I'm going to wear from Cider. I love Cider if you've not checked it out. Let's get into it. On our first date at a restaurant, he was extremely quiet. And when I look back now, after getting to know him for a year, I'm realizing he is not that shy of a person in real life, but he didn't talk much on the date. At the time, I was really, really uncomfortable with a man not asking me about myself, and I honestly was picking up on his nervous energy. So I was trying to fill in the gaps in conversation with questions about him, asking him about himself, volunteering way too much information about myself. I'm not sure if this was intentional on his part, but I do think that men use this as a way to understand more about us and then manipulate us. And also, they don't have to reveal the mask that they're wearing, and they don't have to ever really show us who they truly are. And I will say, after a year with this specific person, I never really got to know who he was. He never took down the mask. A couple weeks after we had started talking pretty regularly, I took my daughter on a trip out of town. And it was during this time that I was out of town that he went completely silent for the first time. He really went hours and hours without talking to me. The consistency of the communication drastically dropped. His response was nonchalant denial, and he basically told me that it was all in my head and I was being insecure and that he's allowed to go hours without speaking to me because Sundays were his recharge day. This inability to be consistent with communication and then gaslighting me when I brought it up to him that it was a problem remained a huge issue. In fact, it was the issue in our relationship. The ex situation. He was best friends with all of his exes. And in fact, anytime he would post on social media, random girls would come out of the woodwork and be liking and heart eyes emojiing his posts. He would just assure me that they were all his friends, and he just has all friends with all women. He doesn't have any male friends. But this was very disconcerting to me. I didn't know any of these women. He never introduced me to them. It's not like he hung out with them and talked to them on the regular. They literally were just his social media buddies. Hype women, I should say. All of the typical love bombing in the beginning, future faking, booking trips, that was all there. So the textbook signs were there. I'm trying to get into signs that are a little more covert. He had serious drama with his baby mama. He was constantly picking fights with her. He would have days where he would argue with her for hours on end. He wouldn't share with me, though, because I think he was embarrassed and he knew it was a red flag, but he was making her life a living hell and literally terrorizing her with drama. She, of course, was the narcissist, though, and it was all her fault, their problems. The biggest one, though, was he always was so aloof. He was wearing a mask consistently. He didn't want to get to know me. He never asked questions about me. He never dug deep into who I was as a person.
First date red flags. Let's talk about it, ladies. Number 1, he knows what neighborhood you live in, but he picks a place that's close to him and far from you, meaning he has no consideration for you and he's only thinking about himself, and he might have the expectation of going back to his place afterward because it's just around the corner. At the very least, you can meet in the middle, but a truly considerate man would pick somewhere convenient for you. Number 2, he's late and doesn't communicate his tardiness. No text saying, sorry, I'm running about 5 to 10 minutes late. I'll be there as soon as possible. And he doesn't apologize when he arrives. Either he is just not a punctual person, he doesn't respect your time, or he's not really a planner and he lacks the foresight to want to get there early to grab a good spot for you to get to know each other. None of those things are really qualities you want in a partner. So, red flag. Number 3, he talks about himself the whole time and doesn't ask follow-up questions when you mention things about yourself. He is clearly not interested in getting to know you at all. So welcome to his TED Talk. Red flag. Number 4, he wants to split the bill. I know, this is a hot topic, but for the first date, my goodness, I would expect him to pay, especially if he asked me out on the date. Call me old-fashioned, but if he didn't, I'd think, oh, okay, I guess he just wants to be friends or friends with benefits because he can't be serious. Or if he's that tight with money, if he's on a budget, he can't afford to be dating anyway. So, red flag. Number 5, he doesn't check to see if you got home safely. Now, this is not the reddest of flags, but again, it's about consideration and thoughtfulness in the simplest form. A simple text checking to see if you made it is all that's needed. Otherwise, I think he really didn't care that much. Again, maybe I'm expecting too much. Do what you will with that information. Red flags to me.
These are the red flags on a first date or second date. If the guy asks you to go to his house for the first date, red flag. If the guy doesn't pay for the first date, sorry, I don't know what your standards are, but that is a no for me. If the guy is talking crap about his ex, that's also a no. If you can't be yourself and you can't be honest and he just gives you the side eyes, that's a no. I don't care if the guy is 45 minutes away, an hour away. First date, he comes to you. And if he doesn't, that's a no for me. And if he calls you anything outside your name, that's a no.
I've been on a lot of dates, and here are my early red flags in men. If he's following a lot of girls on social media, especially Instagram, he is just not serious and following a ton of girls from the apps. He's probably hooking up with tons of people. Gross. Anybody that's obsessing over your appearance at the beginning is either a narcissist or they just literally don't care about your personality and just want to hook up. If they are inconsistently communicating, they either have a roster or they're just not that interested. Like, you want someone that's really interested. If this man is using Snapchat as his primary form of communication, goodbye. If on the apps he is hiding his smile or wearing hats or you can barely see his face, beware. If this man mentions cuddling before the first date, run. I cannot stress this enough. If it is too much too soon and they're love bombing you, they're worshiping you, this person has issues. Like, a normal guy is gonna take it at a slower pace. But on the flip side, if he's giving 0 compliments to you, then he's just not secure with himself, and we don't waste our time with those people. If the guy does not pay for the first date that he asked you on, or if he accepts you splitting it, like, no, this is a first date, sir. And last but not least, if he asks you the day of, last minute, or just to meet up, not a real date, he's just not serious about it, and it's just not worth your time. So go out there, find someone who's interested in you and who will put in the time and effort, because you deserve it.
Ladies, today I want to let you know the red flags that you're supposed to check out during your very first date with your guy. Blind date, first date, whatever. Point number 1, if he comes late, maybe he comes 30 minutes late, 1 hour late, 2 hours late, he has not even informed you that maybe something happened, I'm held up, I'm going to be late, there is no communication. This guy shows up 30 minutes late, 1 hour late, you've been there waiting for him, he is showing up 1 hour, 30 minutes late. That one is the very first red flag. Number 2, a man who speaks so highly of himself. It is the very first time that you're meeting and this person is speaking of how respectable he is, how a lot of ladies love him. You are going to meet this person for very first time and they're going to speak about positive things in their lives. Everything they are speaking about is about them. It is not even about the date. This guy is going to tell you, I'm so respected in my family. I'm so respected at my workplace. Every lady that meets with me, they want to have something with me. I don't know whether you have met this kind of a person. This is a red flag. If you meet a person the very first time that you've met, they are not even talking about both of you. They are talking so highly of themselves, how they have met people who have loved them, how they have a lot of choice to make, how people respect them. That is red flag. Point number 3. A man who does not give you time to talk. Have you ever met with this kind of a person? You've been with them for 1 hour, 2 hours, and they are talking. They are raising their voices anytime that you try to talk, it's about them. They're just speaking without full stop. Have you ever met that kind of a person? It is very first time that you're meeting. They're not even giving you time to express yourself. They're not giving you time to talk. They're just talking and talking nonstop. That kind of a dictator is very dangerous. That is that is not even a red flag. It is a red carpet. They are controlling, they are dictators. They just want to talk. It's about them. It's not about you anymore. You are going just to introduce yourself, and then after that, they pick the conversation and they speak without letting you talk. That is another red flag. A man who talks about expensive, so expensive about himself, talks about big money, talks about investment, very fast date. I am not talking about dating time. I am talking about very fast date. You meet with this man for the very first time and they're talking about, I've been depositing this amount of money. I have cargo coming. I have these houses I'm building. I have these businesses. If you meet with this kind of a person who speaks so expensive, who speaks money, who speaks investment, who speaks, prestigious things at the very first time, they don't know you, you don't know them, and they're talking about money every other time. They're talking about how they have business with their friends. They're talking about they have a cargo coming, about the container they have coming. Those people are red flags. They just want to win you for a very short time, period of time. Once they are done, they are going. There is no man who meets you for the very first time and they're talking about, very expensive lifestyle, very a lot of investment, you understand what I'm saying. Point number 5, a man who gives you a lot of promises. Man, have you met with this kind of a person who gives you a lot of promises during the very first date? They're telling you, babe, I want to give you very good life. Babe, I want to fly you to different countries. During our wedding, I want to do this and this. It is very first date and they're talking about wedding. And they're even asking you where you want your honeymoon to be. They're even talking about how they're going to buy you expensive engagement ring. Have you ever met with this kind of a person? This is not even red flag. This is a madman. Yeah. They are promising you, babe, I'm going to do this to you. Babe, I'm going to take you places. Babe, I'm going to change your life. Babe, I'm going to change your parent life. Babe, I'm going to take you back to school. They are talking about, they are giving you promises. And those promises are empty. And the reason as to why they're giving you a lot of promises, as I said, is because they want to win you. They want to get what they want. They don't have any plans with you. They just want to get what they want and then they move on. So if you're not sharp, these people are going to make you think that they are the prize, the right choice. But before you know it, they have used you and they have dumped you. If you meet with a man who gives you promises, during the very first date, they don't know you, but they're promising you heaven on earth. Baby, I'm going to take you to Canada. Baby, I'm going to buy you very expensive car. Baby, I'm going to build your parent a house. Girl, walk and never look back. Point number 6. If you meet with a person who is a guy, this guy is very rude to everybody else in that club, in that restaurant. Maybe the waiter has delayed the order and he is shouting everywhere. He is giving orders. He is so rude, insulting them. My dear, you're getting yourself in a frying pan. If you meet if you meet with this kind of a man who is very rude to everybody around you, just know that you are not going to be an exceptional. You are going to face the music. If you meet with this kind of a man who is very rude, commanding, controlling, the very first time you meet with them, and they're like, I don't like this kind of behavior. Why can't you behave yourself? Why can't you keep my order? Why can't you do that? They are so rude. They are shouting everywhere. And they may go even an extra mile of hitting people, and it is a very first date. It's in a club, and maybe someone has done something and they wake up, they want to fight, and then you think that I am getting married to a fighter, I am getting married to a protector. My dear, the very first impression is very important. If you meet with a man who is trying to show you that the masculinity energy in a very negative way, they are trying to fight people, they are trying to shout, they are trying to control, they are trying to be rude, just know that that person is a red flag. If you are not cautious, if you are not careful, you're getting yourself in a big problem. So be observant and very observant during your very first date. Another point, if that person keeps on talking bad or negative about their ex-girlfriend, about their in-laws, about their sisters, about their relative, everything, that person has nothing to say positive about any person who crossed their path. You're going to meet with a person who is going to say, I used to treat my ex-girlfriend so well, but she was extravagant, but she was a gold digger, but she was a prostitute. This kind of a person who speaks bad about the women they have dated before, just know that you are not exceptional. You're going to face the same sooner or later. It is your first date. When you're getting used to a person, maybe they can give you their story. But the very first date is not meant for that. The very first date is meant for you to know each other, introduction, and, literally knowing each other. So if this person is talking negative about everybody in their lives, this person is speaking negative about their relative, negative about their ex-girlfriend, negative about their work. They are negative people. They are people of negative energy. You need to know that you are not safe. The very first date is not meant to discuss other people. It is not meant to, tell you how hurt they were by their ex-girlfriend. It is not meant to discuss family. It is meant to discuss both of you, know each other, introduction and all that and all that. So if you meet with this kind of a negative person who talks negative about their family, about their ex-girlfriend, they're telling you that I don't have friends, I don't care about people, know that tomorrow they're going not to care about you. So don't think that you are unexceptional. So that is what I wanted to say. Maybe on the comment section, you can add your own experiences during your very first date, how it went, how the relationship went, for other people to learn. Yeah. And as usual, I have told you, I have a lot of inboxes, a lot of messages, a lot of WhatsApp. If you want to share your story, you can come to my inbox or to my Instagram. My Instagram is JanoMax. You can come to my inbox. My TikTok inbox is full. So if I've not read your story, just know that I'm going to read soon. And if you want to have a session with me, my number is on the bio. You can email me. I charge for sessions. That is what I've always been saying. So if you want to have one-on-one session, I charge. So come to my WhatsApp. You can book. I have a calendar link up there. You can email me and we are going to have good time. Thank you so much, guys, for the support. After this video, give your own experience down below. As usual, comment. Thank you, guys.
If you are in the talking stage with a guy, here are 5 things that if they do these things, run the opposite direction. And some of these are very self-explanatory. Number 1, if he doesn't want to be seen in public with you, that is the biggest red flag ever. Like if you're inviting him out places and he's saying like, no, just come over to my place. Like just come over. That is the biggest red flag. He does not want to be seen with you and he's just using you. So leave him. 2, if he doesn't want people knowing that you're like seeing each other or that you hooked up or this or that, like if he's being secretive around you, like, and not telling his friends about you, that is a red flag. A lot of people have their reasons for not sharing things about relationships. I, for one, don't think you should share everything about a relationship. But also, when I like someone, like, it's something that I want to talk about with my close friends. Like, I want to talk about this guy that I'm seeing. 3, if he has a girl best friend, that's not a problem. Like, I have a lot of guy friends. Like, that is not a problem.
Let's jump into
keep
my
your
favorite part
goddamn
of
eye
all
out.
of the content.
70% of the time, the girl best friends are like the nicest people ever. But that other 30% of the time, girl, they are preying on your downfall. One of my exes had a girl best friend who was so nice to my face, and turns out she was trying to get with my boyfriend the entire time we were together. So if your boyfriend knows that his girl best friend has a crush on him, be careful. If a guy that you're talking to is like not responding to your messages and like leaving you undelivered for like a day, the honest truth is that he probably doesn't want to talk to you. Like my thing is, if I genuinely like someone and someone likes me, like we usually talk pretty often. But the matter of fact is you deserve someone who you feel like wants to talk to you and wants to spend time with you. So I don't know, maybe that's kind of a red flag. If you guys have just been talking for like a very short period of time, if he's moving really, really fast and like, wow, this guy really, really likes me, watch out, because you could very well be getting love bombed and you don't even know it, because it is the worst feeling ever. So if he's like a week in telling you that he loves you, babe, I'd be scared. And those are just a couple of red flags that I've dealt with and I don't like.
5 red flags I like to look for in the early stages of dating. 1, if he's rude to the servers, baristas, cashiers, it's a clear indicator about how he treats people, and it's really not a good sign. 2, they want to get serious way too quickly. If your partner is trying to press you to commit early on, this clearly shows that they have insecurity issues and lack emotional intelligence. 3, they are flat out disrespectful. It's one thing to poke fun at each other in a playful way, but if they are flat out disrespecting you and disregarding you, this is a huge red flag. 4, they play games with you. If someone's making plans with you and then breaks them and you never know when you're going to see them again, move on. They don't respect you or your time. 5, they're selfish in bed. If they don't care about you or your pleasure, it definitely shows what kind of partner they're going to be. Don't give up every single time you see a red flag, because we all have our flaws, ourselves included. Sometimes you need to give people a second chance to see if they're really worth raising a red flag over, or maybe they just needed more time to open up.
No salt, first date red flags. Picture this. I agreed to a first date with a gentleman. I arrive at the restaurant. He's already sitting at the bar. He has a salad and a cocktail. I sit down to join him. He tells me I can order whatever I want on the menu. And I say, okay. So at the time I was feeling like salmon, some mashed potatoes, and some asparagus. So I place my order. We chat. During the conversation, during the conversation and me waiting for my food, he talks a lot about himself. He asked me some very minimal questions, but he seemed to be a little bit self-absorbed. I know how guys can be sometimes. They are excited about their job and what they got going on. So he just yada, yada, yada. No salt. So the meal comes out, the bartender, because we're sitting at the bar, the bartender brings out my food. And I say to myself, oh, I know I'm going to need some salt and pepper on my asparagus, because asparagus to me doesn't taste good unless it's seasoned properly for all my asparagus eaters. So he then says to me, oh, I don't like a woman who uses salt. I think to myself, who am I sitting next to? Ike Turner and reincarnate? So, you know your girl, well, maybe you're going to get to know me. I don't like when people tell me I can't do something. So I waved the bartender down. I was like, excuse me, can you please bring me some salt and pepper? And so out the side of my eye, I see the guy look like he pissed off. So anyway, I get the salt. I sprinkle just enough on my asparagus to make it taste good to me. Then I put some black pepper, and he says to me, wait for it, I can't believe you did that. What? So I turn to him and I say, excuse me, you can't believe I did what? I said, you make it seem like I disobeyed you. I said, I don't know what's going on in your mind, but I'm an adult. And I heard you say that you don't like a woman who uses salt. You don't like a woman who uses salt. I said, well, you ain't got to like me, because I like me. And I'm my own person. I make my own food choice decisions. I said, we're on a first date. You got to be kidding me. You clocking my salt intake? I said, at no point, sir, did I tell you that I have hypertension, that I'm on prescription medication. I said, I'm in very good health. I don't take medication for any illnesses. I said, we've never had those kind of conversations. It's a first date. And you're telling me no salt? I'm like, what's going on? Next, you're going to be telling me how to chew my food. You're going to be telling me I can't wear pencil skirts and I got to relax my natural hair and I can't go out with my friends. I'm like, you're coming across very controlling on a first date. I said, something is not right. And he said to me, oh no, it's not that I'm being controlling. I just don't like women that use salt. I said, again, you ain't got to like me. I like me. I said, and if you're not happy with the fact that I use salt, then I can pay for my own meal. I said, this is really weird. I said, I've never experienced such like this before on a first date. No salt. I'm like, all the things that I'm bringing to the table, you would like to nitpick about me using a little bit of salt on my asparagus. Red flag. If you go on a date with a guy and he's already nitpicking you and telling you about what he likes and what he doesn't like about a woman, and you know it's specifically something that he's referencing about you, that's a red flag that this guy is telling you that if you want to be on his boat or ride his train, that you got to basically deny yourself and do everything that he wants. That's not a loving relationship. That's a sign of someone who's emotionally unhealthy. That's a sign that someone is manipulative. That's a sign that someone could be highly narcissistic. Either way, it all spells toxic to me. And so I continue to eat my food, but I'm trying to just get through the meal, because at this point I'm feeling uncomfortable. When you get that intrinsic feeling inside of you that something is not right with a person, don't push it off. That's your intuition. That is the Holy Spirit telling you that this is not your person. This is not someone that you should proceed forward with. So he pays for the meal. And then we get outside the restaurant, and I say to him, you know, I really don't feel like there should be another date, a second date. And he's like, well, why? You know, I feel like we were hitting it off. I said, I don't feel that way. I said, in addition to you telling me that I can't have any salt on my asparagus, my God, you were kind of pressuring me about even picking me up for the date. You wanted to know where I lived. You wanted to come to my house. You wanted me to get in your car as opposed to driving my own car and meeting you there. And then when I told you that I did not want to drive in the car with you, I did not want you to know where I lived initially on a first date, you called me stubborn. You said that I was slightly stubborn. And I'm thinking to myself, no, I'm cautious. And I said, so it was that, and then the no salt. And then, you just went on and on about yourself. I said, I feel like you really didn't take time to get to know me. And then he's like, instead of him at this point, I'm thinking he's going to say, well, forgive me, maybe I overspoke, or, maybe I was just excited to go out on a date with you. And, I kind of got tangled up in myself. Can you give me another opportunity? No, this guy said that, he didn't see where there was an error in his ways. He took no accountability for his behavior or, his aggressiveness or overbearingness. So again, another red flag. So just to recap, if you're out with a guy and a guy is overbearing, seems like he is overly aggressive, controlling, run, get away from him. If a guy is asking to pick you up at your house and want to know where you live on a first date, run, get away from him. If a guy is insulting to you and you tell him he did something to you that you don't like and he takes no accountability, he offers no apology, he doesn't back down off of what he did, run. And lastly, go with your gut instinct. Your gut will never fail you. A lot of times we as women, we push it away. Don't do that. And as always, kings and queens, consider liking and following Planted Speaks. Peace. Let's jump into my favorite part of all of the content I post on YouTube. And that's just my thoughts, where I get to kind of express what I feel about whatever we have read or gone over. So let's get into it. So this was part 2 of my series about early stages or first date red flags. And this is from a woman's perspective. So what I noticed that a lot of women discussed was a man's behavior towards you on the first date. If he's too touchy-feely, too quick to be sexual, disregard treatment of you, so his behavior, and then also how he is treating others. This means if he's rude to the waitstaff, if he's consumed with his phone, during a first date or very early stages, he probably has a wife or a girlfriend. So behavior and treatment of others are, I'm boiling it down to the simplest, context, are the red flags that women are telling other women to look for early on in first dates. And that is so true, because how a person is treating you is the category that they're putting you in, how they regard you, the level of respect they have for you. And that's a big thing, because as we know, many times, especially on social media, we hear men saying they feel disrespected. Caveat, side note, they don't always mean disrespect. A lot of times what I've observed is men don't like someone to disagree with them, and they mistake disagreement with disrespect, because those are indeed two different things. And this, another side note, ladies, is why you need to deal with a man with a certain level of intelligence and intellect. I'm grown. I am highly educated. I don't deal with men who don't understand the definition of words, and neither should you. So back to my point. What is very important here is that you are being very mindful and paying attention. You have to maintain awareness, of course, in all of your relationship, but especially in the early stages, because you think of it this way. If this man is on his best behavior and it's disrespectful, rude, or vulgar, honey, it's never getting better. So if you see that his behavior or his treatment of others, or treatment of others also includes like distraction, he seems consumed with something else or being on his phone or someone else, or he is not regarding you as a serious candidate. He is likely just trying to be intimate with you and disregard you. Do not allow that. Do not give people access to your energy like that. You are far too important and too precious. So be very mindful and be very aware. So I think this is where you really need to tune into all of your senses and pay attention to your intuition. This is not the time to ignore and override your intuition because of a desire to be partnered with someone. Because if someone is treating you poorly or misbehaving towards you early on in the dating process, or even on the first date, they're never going to take you seriously. They're never going to respect you. Thank you for joining me today for this episode of Ish I Saw on TikTok, Early Stages of Dating / First Date Red Flags Part 2 of 2. Watch this video again, and I really want you ladies to take notes. Reflect on any current, former, or in the works romantic situations with men that you've had, and really self-reflect. It is time to be self-aware. This is very important. Remember to comment, like, share, and subscribe. Also share any anecdotes that you have noticed that are early stage red flags that you would like to share with other women in the comments below. If you're interested in working with me one-on-one, check out the links below. Also check out my podcast, The Successful Invisible, next season, publishing soon, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Until next time, this is your relationship coach, Janelle, signing off.